I should be grateful. Still, my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I'm such a a-hole. I'm an a-hole. On my way home, but you stay though. What's the reason? I should be content, so why do I lament? And it ain't even you, it's really myself I resent. Not typical of him to be like all the other men. And if it's just a phase, why ain't I growing out of thin? Looking back past tense, we in the age of spin. A black hole couldn't keep this one together, here men. Over backwards, forwards, everywhere I tried to bend. You know it hurt me bad because she left me after Prince. But first she hit me with, I gotta get some air. And came back bawling out, her eyes full of tears. And grabbed me by the hand and said, I think that this should end. And that was about a week before our 3-year end. Lately, my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I should be grateful. Still, my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I'm such a a-hole. I'm an a-hole. On my way home, but you stay though. What's the reason? I should be content, so why do I lament? And it ain't even you, it's really myself I resent. Not typical of him to be like all the other men. And if it's just a phase, why ain't I growing out of thin? Was it all the women running in and out of my DMs? Or the videos they sent me in my Facebook messages? If I ever did wrong, it's not cause nothing that you said. It was often hard to read you, you're so passive aggressive. Is it really hard to believe that I'm polyamorous? I just wish you never pretended like you accepted it. And if you think it's bad when relations end from this, find love when people think your preferences don't exist. Goddamn. My curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I should be grateful. Still, my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I'm such a a-hole. I'm an a-hole. On my way home, but you stay though. What's the reason? I should be content, so why do I lament? And it ain't even you, it's really myself I resent. Not typical of him to be like all the other men. And if it's just a phase, why ain't I growing out of thin? You know it sucks when you start to lose your friends, and everyone is closer than the one from previous. That's when formal relationships can seem tedious, and cutting off emotions can seem easiest. And when you feel like that, it's time to plant a seed to rid out all the bad emotions, remove the negative, and grow an orchard of love to give positive. You are who you are, ain't no need to pretend. So lately, my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I should be grateful. Still, my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I'm such a a-hole. Lately, my curiosity has got me thinking. Still, my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I'm such a a-hole. I'm an a-hole. On my way home, but you stay though. What's the reason? I should be content, so why do I lament? And it ain't even you, it's really myself I resent. Not be like all the other men. And if it's just a phase, why ain't I growing out of thin? Looking back past tense, we in the age of spin. A black hole couldn't keep this one together, here men. Over backwards, forwards, every way I tried to bend. You know it hurt me bad because she left me after Prince. But first she hit me with, I gotta get some air. And came back bawling out, her eyes full of tears. And grabbed me by the hand and said, I think that this should end. And that was about a week before our 3-year end. My curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I should be grateful. Still, my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I'm such a a-hole, I'm an a-hole, on my way home. But you stay though. What's the reason? I should be content, so why do I lament? And it ain't even you, it's really myself I resent. Not typical of him to be like all the other men. And if it's just a phase, why ain't I growing out of thin? Was it all the women running in and out of my DMs? Or the videos they sent me in my Facebook messages? If I ever did wrong, it's not cause nothing that you said. It was often hard to read you, you're so passive aggressive. Is it really hard to believe that I'm polyamorous? I just wish you never pretended like you accepted it. And if you think it's bad when relations end from this, find love when people think your preferences don't exist. Goddamn. Lately, my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I should be grateful. Still, my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I'm such a a-hole. I'm an a-hole on my way home. But you stay though. What's the reason? I should be content, so why do I lament? And it ain't even you, it's really myself I resent. Not typical of him to be like all the other men. And if it's just a phase, why ain't I growing out of thin? You know it sucks when you start to lose your friends, and everyone is closer than the one from previous. That's when former relationships can seem tedious, and cutting off emotions can seem easiest. And when you feel like that, it's time to plant a seed to rid out all the bad emotions, remove the negative, and grow an orchard of love to give positive. You are who you are, ain't no need to pretend. So lately, my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I should be grateful. Still, my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I'm such a a-hole. Lately, my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I should be grateful. Still, my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I'm such a a-hole. I'm an a-hole on my way home. But you stay though. What's the reason? I should be content, so why do I lament? And it ain't even you, it's really myself I resent. Not typical of him to be like all the other men. And if it's just a phase, why ain't I growing out of thin? Looking back past tense, we in the age of spin. A black hole couldn't keep this one together, here men. Over backwards, forwards, every way I tried to bend. You know it hurt me bad because she left me after Prince. But first she hit me with, I gotta get some air. And came back bawling out, her eyes full of tears. And grabbed me by the hand and said, I think that this should end. And that was about a week before our 3-year end. Lately, my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I should be grateful. Still, my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I'm such a a-hole. I'm an a-hole on my way home. But you stay though. What's the reason? I should be content, so why do I lament? And it ain't even you, it's really myself I resent. Not typical of him to be like all the other men. And if it's just a phase, why ain't I growing out of thin? Was it all the women running in and out of my DMs? Or the videos they sent me in my Facebook messages? If I ever did wrong, it's not cause nothing that you said. It was often hard to read you, you're so passive aggressive. Is it really hard to believe that I'm polyamorous? I just wish you never pretended like you accepted it. And if you think it's bad when relations end from this, find love when people think your preferences don't exist. Goddamn. Lately, my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I should be grateful. Still, my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I'm such a a-hole. I'm an a-hole. On my way home. But you stay though. What's the reason? I should be content, so why do I lament? And it ain't even you, it's really myself I resent. Not typical of him to be like all the other men. And if it's just a phase, why ain't I growing out of then? You know it sucks when you start to lose your friends, and everyone is closer than the one from previous. That's when former relationships can seem tedious, and cutting off emotions can seem easiest. And when you feel like that, it's time to plant a seed, rid out all the bad emotions, remove the negative, and grow an orchard of love to give positive. You are who you are, ain't no need to pretend. So lately, my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I should be grateful. Still, my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I'm such a a-hole. Hello, 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 and welcome to Warden's Midwest Podcast. We're coming to you live right now from New Holland, Ohio, very close to Columbus, Ohio. Shout out to the Black House Studio. We are not there, but we will be returning very soon, more than likely next week. We'll be bouncing back and forth between both locations, but for the time being, we will be here. Today's show, we're going to be talking about a few different things. Now, we originally had a guest tonight, but in light of so many things going on in the world and individually with people close to me and myself, actually, I decided to discuss healing today. I thought that would be a very great topic to cover, just mostly because I don't think that we're doing that as individuals, as communities, African American communities specifically, and as definitely as a nation. I think there's a lot of healing that needs to be done before we can even move forward. Um so today more than likely would be a shorter show. It'd be probably like 30 to 45 minutes. Thank you so much to everyone tuning in right now. I really do appreciate it. I think it'll be more impactful to discuss the individual healing first. I want to start inward and grow outward, if that makes sense. um So I guess it's no, I'm a person that's really, really transparent, and I don't like to keep secrets too much. So I might as well start off with the elephant in the room, if I could say. At least though, maybe I'm the only one aware of the elephant, probably. Um, but I, Terry Tertiary, am now single. So for the umpteenth time, I've botched a relationship, and because of it, I am now single. Um, I don't really have too many negative things to say at all about the other party. People are allowed to their own opinions, and they're allowed to, make their own decisions whenever they're ready to do so. But it definitely, I won't say it came as a shock. It was definitely, uh, understandable. There was nothing wrong with that person's decision. Of course, you get in that conversation. You don't want to be like, I don't want to just let it go, especially when it's something you care about and you worked on. Vice versa. The other person involved worked on it as well. Nothing but love from Nanika, and her family and everything. I know that she has a lot to consider right now, so I can't hold any hate in my heart towards them. Um, but yeah, I realized that some of the mistakes I made while in that relationship were literally just things that I have done a lot of healing in a very short period of time, which doesn't mean that I'm completely healed, nor does it mean that I am, better than anyone else, for healing in a short period of time. I just realized that I did that and I came a long way, but I still have ways to go, especially in, receiving that ultimatum that I now received. I wanted to say that there are some things that we can do in terms of healing, like definitely voicing it. I think that's one thing that we can certainly do is voice, how your pain is affecting you. Whether it be, in the form of a journal, in the form of counseling, or therapy.
in the form that can be in a group therapy as well, or in the form of just like, talking to a friend who you get good advice from. Uh, but also there's other forms of healing you can do as well. There's prayer, there's meditation, there's musical healing, um, and there's group spiritual healing. And I've done a multitude of those things in a very short period of time. And I do feel like, some of the mistakes I may have made earlier in this relationship, uh, I've gotten much, much better at. And I can't really beat up on myself too much. Um, and I really want to make sure that I get this message across to people because and I do want to, I'll apologize in advance should any tears or anything drop, just because I'm a very emotional person and this was a relationship I truly cared about. So I made some mistakes. There's a little bit of anger in there that was on my part, and I could have did a little bit better job of managing things in my past. I allowed to affect me, things around me, and situations I allowed to affect me, and I never got physical. I never, physically abused anyone, especially since we're in the atmosphere we're in now. Let me clear that up. I never physically or verbally abused anyone. I never made motive or talked with the attempt to manipulate someone. Um, but that doesn't justify anybody's actions when they're angry like that. So I know that I still have more of that to do. So I've made a new regiment. Even within the last, I'm gonna say, week and a half, I have made sure that I'm now, meditating regularly, doing yoga regularly, talking to friends about things that are concerning me regularly, family members, moving forward with my career as well. That's another thing. Do not stop doing what you're doing just because you're in pain. Those things are not escapes from what you're doing. They're literally motivation to move beyond that space in a place of hurting. So continue what makes you feel happy doing that, whether that's providing for the people you care about or following your passions. I'm a musician and a creator, so I will never stop doing those things until I'm no longer here. So those things are important to me. But I'm also in a space where I really want to be in a fatherly mentorship role. Like I've gained all of these, skills and experiences for raising people, um, watching over nieces and nephews, or being a mentor to, inner city school kids in elementary through middle school, at several middle schools, teaching in front of classes of, college courses and universities. And I know that's somewhere I want to be. So I really have to, if this is, if that's the reason, if any reason before that is why the anger, then I have to get that together. There's no excuse for that. And like I said, I'm not going to target anyone else or put the other party involved in this at all, because this is focused on me right now as an individual. And I hope that some of this can give insight to people on what they can do as individuals to help themselves heal from things. Because sometimes we let things stay in the past, like things in the past, we allow them to sit there and fester. Like example, me and my brother had issues in our childhood towards each other that they're pretty serious issues, and I won't get into the details, but it took me until literally this past summer to like reprimand things with him. And as good as that felt, both of us, I felt, I literally, as I said them, said, I forgive you and I still love you. Those phrases literally came out of my mouth, and I felt all of this stress just go away. And I was like, what was I doing? I was walking around with all of that on me for so long. That affects you, that changes you. We're not robots. There's chemical imbalances in our brain that after time, things wear down and things change, and you have to now make a new pattern to change them back or change them to a space in which you're comfortable. Likewise, I existed in the city of Chicago for a very long time, regularly living there, working there, and being a part of multiple communities there. The musician community, the curator event planning service community, audio engineering community, and like just being the radio community. And I think that most of us need, you know, to be in the space you actually want to be in. Now, I have no issue going to Chicago, but I knew that I didn't want to permanently live there. I always knew that, just because I saw my behaviors changing and I thought I had them under control. But had when I came back to Ohio, I start hanging around some of my old friends and people. And of course, I'm not gonna say they're exactly the same, but when we hang out, our behaviors are the same for the most part. And I saw that my temper was very, very short. And I was like, this is not okay. This is not okay. We need to make sure that we are I was like, I need to make sure that this is me. I go home talking to some of my other friends back there, and they're like, man, you need to calm down a little bit. And I was like, wow, I have changed. So what can I possibly do to make sure that, this is not me anymore? I don't like that. I don't like being overly stressed. So that's why I've done these things. I've taken up yoga, I've taken up, regular meditation. These are things I do now on a daily basis, sometimes more than once a day, in different ways. Um, and I advise everyone to do that, especially African Americans, because we hold a lot of things in, and not just from our own lives. I'll say it from, spiritually, from past lives, from generational oppression, like historical oppression. We hold those things in, and we just don't say anything, and it eats at us, and we develop this double consciousness of what we got to behave as, and it splits our psyche and all these different things that we should speak to each other as a community about, especially, but definitely as individuals. And I think that I just wanted to get some of that stuff off my chest. Um, and I appreciate those tuning in right now for listening. It means a lot to me. And I hope people are gathering something from this, because I'm not just saying it's just a just event. I said this because I understand that if we want to heal the world and we're not healing ourselves, nothing happens. We can do both simultaneously, but we definitely have to do a lot of work on ourselves. I know that I'm in a place where I've been helping and healing people for over a decade now. I've been doing that successfully, and I've been working on myself more recently here for about a year and a half, almost 2 years, a little bit, and I've seen those results. Is they're substantial. They're irrefutable proof that I needed to be doing it sooner, and that I am already becoming a better person because of it. So I advise people to do that the same. Fathers, go home and love your kids. Period. I know a lot of people in our generation are doing that now, but do it more. Like, really take and invest time into your children's lives, because they're the future, and they're important to you, even if you don't acknowledge it in every aspect of your life. Like, they are important. So give them that level of attention. Mothers naturally do that, so the fuck I don't have to say that. Women, y'all got it together already. Sometimes men, we gotta follow suit in that capacity. And I'm gonna touch back on that a little here shortly, very, very soon, in the community aspect. Um, but yeah, continue your passion. If I can summarize, continue your passion, focus on yourself in the healing, yoga, prayer, meditation, therapy, counseling. That's group counseling too, group therapy as well. And it can be musical therapy, massage therapy, whatever you want it to be. Self preservation, seriously. And definitely focusing on what your passion or your career is. Your passion ain't got to be a creative arts thing just because I'm a creative. It can be something involving politics or your community or your church or your synagogue, your mosque, whatever whatever you frequent spiritually. But it's make sure you give that time to it, because when you leave, you'll feel everyone's like, oh, you feel good because you did it, and you're like, oh, I did something great. Like, you feel good because you're reciprocating good energy. Like, you feel the what I will say the sideways eight, the infinity flow of giving out good energy and getting it back, and getting rid of all that negative energy, because it becomes a regular practice, not only mentally but spiritually and physically, because it moves out that way. um but yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Forrest Gump. That's all I have to say about that. But I hope some people took something away from that, and to move forward in a more positive light. Not more positive, to move forward in a community setting. People should really, really hold people accountable, man. We need to start holding people accountable. Now I'm gonna start in an African American community sense. Um, of course, it's already going on now, and I gotta talk about it, even though I was a kid when it started, which is so ridiculous to me. What the hell is going on with us allowing people like R. Kelly to continue? Now, I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm gonna start with this. I talked to shout out my brother Impact. I started off with talking to him about this, and he said, "Well, you can't really start off in the capacity of saying R. Kelly. If you're going to talk about R. Kelly, just talk about him in general, and then then address that." So I will. So let me address R. Kelly and in the African American community. What the hell were we doing? I was 6 years old when I first heard, or five, when I first heard Aaliyah's 4-page letter. And I can't remember how old she was back then, but I think she was still a teenager and she was just separating from R. Kelly, which what the hell was going on with, I'm not going to target Aaliyah's parents because they damn sure made sure that that ended as soon as they found out about it, which bravo to them because many, many other parents did not follow that same pathway. And I don't understand why. It doesn't make any sense to me. Um, but money is the devil, man. It really does convince people of wrongdoing or to other cheek at the wrong time. No, to turn your head at the wrong time, man. And we shouldn't do that. We should hold people accountable in the terms of R. Kelly. So I'm gonna speak on him right now. When that happened with him and Aaliyah, red flag should have been raised. I don't care if he got went. Apparently, you can marry 14-year-olds in Las Vegas and some other states or cities or whatever, Nevada and some other states. I don't care. That stuff shouldn't be allowed because we now have um, research that proves uh, mental and brain development do not reach maturity until certain ages. And 16 is right around that age, but it's not even the peak of it. It's like right when it starts to slow down in development. There's still like 18, 19, 20, 21 when that first little level of puberty happens. And then there's a second level of puberty, which is around the age that I am, 28 to 30ish, for men. And I think for women it's a little earlier in the mid to late 20s. And I think we need to, like, you know what I mean? Like, we need to hold people accountable for those things. From what I know, just from being in Chicago, not even from this documentary, because I still have not seen it yet. I just watched a little bit of it to understand the context of what I'm about to be speaking on. He was going to schools in the Kenwood community of Chicago, frequently going to basketball games, picking up little girls and taking them, figuratively speaking, picking up little girls and taking them to, wherever, you know what I mean, in his car. And I'm like, why was he just leaving with them and no one was saying anything as a community? As a community, people should have been like, no, young lady, where are you going? The principal, the coach, other students even should have been like, girl, where are you going? Period. And this is not, and I'm gonna keep speaking on this from an African American standpoint right now, but I'm gonna branch out from this because it really gets deeper than this. So if if we're going to sit there and allow that to happen, we need to stop this at a certain point. I remember being in high school and like approaching women, to try and talk to them young ladies at the age I was, 15, 16, same age, sophomore, freshman age girls being like, "Hey, hi," or ladies being like, "Hey, I'm feeling you. You know what I mean? I think you're attractive. I would like to, get your number and talk to you." Not in that way, you know what I mean? Like I got a little bit more game than that. But approach them and some of them will respond like, "Oh no, I don't talk to dudes my age." And I'm like, "That's cool. Like you probably talking to like a senior or something like that. I get it." Nah, I don't talk to nobody in the school either. It's like, "Oh, somebody at another school?" Nah. Actually, I don't talk to nobody unless they're like 30. And you're like, wait, that that's twice your age. You're 15, 16, and you're talking to a 30-year-old. What do y'all have to talk about? Now, of course, y'all are probably doing nasty stuff together, which is gross to me for real. When I became in 2 or 3 years is my age limit, to be honest. And I feel like that's okay no matter where you're at. Like, that's just me. And I know different laws say different things. And I will agree with those laws in the context of where I'm at when I'm there. But I will never go below that. And to be honest with you, once I became mid 20s, 18-year-olds to me were gross. They were little kids to me. I'm very mature for my age. I've always hung around people 4 to 5 years older than me, sometimes almost a decade older than me. So I never was on the same wavelength with a lot of people. So to see women, it just didn't make sense to me. I was like, yeah, they got a car and they got money and they got their own place, but what are you really doing? You know what I mean? What are you really doing with somebody twice your age, probably some of your parents' ages? Because some people did have kids in high school and they had them when they were sick. They had kids when they were 16 and they're 30ish and their kids are now, in high school. And it's like you're dating someone your father or your mother's age. That's just completely gross. Whatever. You know what I mean? But no, not whatever. We need to put a stop to this. When people see this, we need to say something immediately. And so, in the context of R. Kelly, to see that the community of Chicago in different neighborhoods did not stop this, people that used to work with him would allow him to come to their cookouts and just leave with their little cousins or their whatever that little nieces. What is going on? Somebody say something. Like this is not like okay. Like y'all know he had a record before that, and he had the reputation of being with Aaliyah at an early age. So something should have been said, man. That's my opinion on that. And I'm not going to target him specifically this whole time. I just wanted to say that to say that as an African American community, we need to address that. That needs to stop. That is not okay. Period. Point blank. That buys in to the acceptance of a pedophilic lifestyle or a pedophilic acceptance within our community. That's ridiculous. Like we need to stop it. Period. That's all I'm gonna say about that because I've not seen the documentary, so I can't say more about it. But I do know about his past history of dealing with stuff in court and how he talked about it and how he got his way out of it. And I don't accept it. I just don't. I'm sorry. I don't care what anyone has to say about it. I'm a black man too. I do not sit and go to basketball. I've taught around little kids that the ages that he's been talking to. So to see him even view them that way is just really, really gross to me. I'm sorry. Um, I'm not sorry at all. But to speak on that in a broader sense, now we're leaving R. Kelly alone in terms of my brother Impact. Because if we're addressing it, we're addressing it directly. Now I'm gonna address it in the aspect of the community of Hollywood. You know, Hollywood entertainment community, blah blah, Warner Brothers, all that other stuff. What the hell is going on with all these older dudes? Just like not even in pedophile sense specifically, but still in that sense. Because I can't remember dude's name. I'm gonna look him up right now. The guy who was Aquaman. I'm gonna look his name up right now as the actor because he's a little suspect to me now too. Straight up, there's been some stuff circulating about him. The guy's name is I think it's not Peter Safran. I'm gonna see the actor and we're gonna find it out. But you know, and he's not the only one. You know, you got Harvey Weinstein, BS. You got the what's the doggone Jason Momoa. You got that's the actor for that's the Aquaman actor. So we got him. We got him up here. There's a video. You guys can look it up. Just look up him. I guess hugging around. So I think he's Samoan or something like that. So he's like hugging on like two younger ladies. They had to be preteens. They had to be like they couldn't have been more than 13. By the looks of them, they could not have been more than 13. And he's like this, you know, he's like, oh, he's like hugged up. And I'm like, okay, that's, you know, I mean, like, first I'm seeing the video, because my friend shared this in a little group we have on Instagram. And then I see like him move his hands around where the chest area is. And like then I see one of the girls get uncomfortable and like is a guy commentating on it. And he's like, look what his hand does. And it's about a 30-second video. You see him step like this, and you see his hand kind of go down like that. And then he starts like moving his hand around on the little girl's chest. And I'm like, what the hell type of acceptance is going on behind closed doors in some of these parties and people were just turning the other way, like, yeah, that girl's probably 14, but I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm about to get this check and get up out of here. No, I will blow every single last one of my checks. I will be whatever outcast from Hollywood. You see me ever get in there and you see me get kicked out or not get casted for a long time, y'all know what happened. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. I saw some stuff go down. I mean, this is what the play out is gonna be. I seen some things go down and I didn't accept it. So I said something like, hey, what the hell is wrong with you? Whose little girl is like whose daughter is this? Whose niece is this? Like, she shouldn't be here right now. This is an adult party. What the hell is wrong with y'all? But that's an acceptance. That's a thing that's accepted in that space. That's why it keeps happening. That's why you got actors, and it's not even just little girls, it's little boys too. That's why you got actors like now Corey Feldman is now in his 40s or like I think late 40s, whatever, now, and or maybe early 50s now. But he was a boy that got molested in Hollywood. But he said he remembers looking back at pictures of him sitting, he was surrounded by people who were pedophiles. And it's like, why is that accepted? Why are we accepting this? We should boycott those industries. I understand they make great movies, but at what expense to our youth? And what messages are they sending our youth? Sell yourself out to what degree to get fame or to get fortune or to get acceptance or success or what is this, man? We need to stop that. That needs to stop immediately, period. You see it in your community, in your schools. You see teachers doing it. It was teachers doing it at our school, man. I went to Fort Hayes University, and I just don't. I'm sorry, Fort Hayes University. I went to Fort Hayes Metro Education Center, and I just don't see how that was accepted there. Now they did fire the teacher that was involved for that, and that was just ridiculous. But it should have never been that way. And I don't understand why we accept those things on any level. And now I want to talk about. Let me jump back because I saw something that Jada Pinkett Smith said, and I want to comment on that because it is wrong. That is what I will say. She said, "Why is R. Kelly's streams spiking right now?" Now, people are making their own little videos. This is my assumption, my theory. People are making their own little videos, and they're using some of his music as a discussion point. So they might be putting cues or whatever, downloading it, streaming it in the background while they're talking, And they're like, oh, during this song, you can hear him, excuse me, discussing certain things that, we may be frowning upon. And here it's like there's evidence of it in these songs, right? There you go. That's what my understanding is. It is not okay. I have not listened to an R. Kelly song in a very long time. And now I probably won't support him. If he's playing at a party, I'm not gonna dance. I can't do it anymore, man. I'm too consciously aware of things, and I can't let any of that stuff continue. Some people say, "Oh, I'm gonna dance to his music still. I don't care. The music is good," and it's like you're supporting that person's lifestyle when you do that. So you have to be 100% sure of what you're doing and what energy you're putting out. Once again, as a community. Now, to jump back to the Hollywood, this is exactly the the issue that reciprocates out. Like our youth are escaping themselves because they feel like we're not listening to them. And when things like this persist and continue, that's the reason why they feel like we're not listening to them, because we allow these things to happen. Now, I'll speak from personal experience of working in a law department in a court reporting mailroom service. I will speak from that space to know that people, priests, you know what I mean, Catholic priests, on a frequent basis. I can't say which one I was working for because I'm under contract. I signed not to disclose anything, but to know that I worked in a court reporting mailroom service, to like I got so many cases a week that showed that little black boys were being molested by priests, and they were older at this point. Like they were saying, like, "Oh, I've been molested since I was 6 to whatever age, or adolescent to whatever age, and now I'm saying something about it. I'm a teenager." And they have pictures of this is what I see. They have pictures of the priest, the money that they're putting up for the case, which is usually anywhere from tens of thousands to $500,000. I've seen larger cases than that. We're putting money up, and it's like they're guilty. They're putting that much money up to say that they're not guilty. They're guilty. I don't care whose judge it is. I don't care how much you're being paid for this. No, you are guilty. Judges and people in the judicial system, start holding these people accountable, man. They're starting to do it now, but they should have been doing it a long freaking time ago. This is ridiculous. Need to start holding people accountable in all industries. So to see that I was getting dozens of cases a week with this, not one, not two, dozens of cases a week, showing that there were boys being molested by priests. And then you see the pictures of the boys. I forgot, I jumped around. You see the pictures of the boys, and now they got tats all over their body. They got, they got, they're sagging halfway below their waist. Not to say anything about anybody who sags, who's proud of that style. I just don't do it myself. But they're sagging. They got no shirt on. They got the whole Chief Keef mentality. Now, mind you, I worked in Chicago, so that was big around that time. This was like 2014, 2015. But to know that that was the pathway they were being led down, it was like they were trusting in their spiritual, their spiritual leader, and they were taking advantage of them in a way that literally made them uncomfortable, to the point where they escaped from their family, because they're like, my mom's not gonna listen to this. They're not gonna believe me. And then they get into the lifestyle they get into. They turn to the streets and the gangs and the drugs and the violence, and that's just what happens. That's their escape. And then murder rates skyrocket. Like all this stuff is connected. It's not disconnected. It's not like, that's an individual. No, not when an entire industry or an entire system is protecting these people. We need to start holding them accountable as communities. If the judicial system doesn't act right, we need to act right first and show them which way they need to move towards. If they're going to sit here and support these priests doing this, we need to stop going to those churches. We need to stand outside those churches the same way we stand out of courtrooms or whatever, those court buildings or whatever. Stand outside of them when people like Laquan McDonald get shot. We need to do the same thing at these freaking churches. Not go, and the whole community needs to be showing up on Sunday with signs like, "Yeah, Father, whatever, we know what you're doing. Yeah, Pastor, whatever, we know what you're doing." And we're not supporting it anymore. Nobody's going to put physical harm to you, but you need to be incarcerated and you need help immediately, because we're not going to help you. We're not going to support you and allow you to destroy our youth anymore. Period. That's all I have to say about that. Now, you know what? I think I said a lot. I just talked about a lot about, to recap, individual healing. Make sure you do your spiritual practices, meditation, yoga, group therapy, counseling, talking to a friend, talking to a family member, and check on your friends and family as well. Let me add that to that, because you never know what people are going through. Call people and frequently check up on them, because times are hard right now, and it might be getting real even harder soon. Secondly, as a community, we need to stop supporting artists, African Americans. I'm speaking from African Americans. We need to stop supporting artists like R. Kelly and anyone else that wants to be uh, putting themselves in a position that is too questionable and way too pedophilic. Period. We need to stop supporting them. We need to petition to get their music removed from streaming platforms. We need to petition to get their stuff removed from radios, and stop letting their music videos get played on anything mainstream, because we don't want that influence to be accepted. Oh, my mom and dad are dancing to it, so R. Kelly must be okay. He's at my school today. Let me go hang out with him after school because he said I can do that. No, period. Third, we need to stop supporting these industries that allow this stuff to persist at a larger level. Talking about Hollywood, while you see things like Harvey Weinstein harassing women sexually and pushing them to, oh, if you're not going to do this, you're going to be blacklisted in Hollywood and you're never be in any of my movies and all that stuff. We need to stop supporting things like that, because he's not the only one. I'm trying to remember the judge's name. I can't remember, but starts with a K. I think you know who I'm talking about, the Supreme Court judge guy. No, that's a complete disgust thing towards our entire judicial system. You know what I mean? In the recap, people like the dude who plays Aquaman. I think his name is Jason Momoa. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I hope I got it right. Doesn't matter. You know who the Aquaman dude is. Same dude from Game of Thrones. Same dude from Frontier. All that other stuff. Stop supporting people like that. That guy literally has been seen, just like now Drake. Oh yeah, I forgot to say anything about him, but we need to stop supporting that. Like, Drake got caught on stage kissing a 17-year-old. Now, what I'll say is, before he was aware of her age, because he asked her to come on stage, and then he was like, dancing, singing to her like, the R&B dudes do. Cool. Then you start fondling a little bit. I guess it's okay, because you don't know her age yet. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Then, then he gave her a little kiss. It's like, okay, it's, crowd did a little reaction. And then he asked, oh, how old are you? I'm 17. And he giggles. And then he says, oh, I had a good time. The hell do you mean you had a good time? You should have immediately said, oh, I apologize. I was not aware of your age. Can someone please escort her off the stage? I apologize. And then made a public apology. And then as a figure, and you are now a pop icon, bro. Especially at that point, he already was. I think that was his first or second album. He was already up there by then. You know what I mean? He was already well on his way and had the most, the support in which to do so. So no, that's not okay. And we need to stop supporting that on all levels in any industry. The entertainment industry apparently is one that gets away with it too much, because people feel like they're way too untouchable just because they make good music. Hell no, you're not. And fuck you, I won't listen to your shit no more. And I will ridicule my friends for listening to it. Any of my friends listening to R. Kelly, I'd be like, bro, what's wrong with you? Oh, the song's good. Like, no, bro, it's not. It's not pushing. Nah, it's not doing that. Yes, it is. Period. Same with Drake now. I ain't gonna be playing no Drake no more. Period. Don't care. Somebody play it in the car, be like, can you please change this song? I don't want to listen to this. I'm done with it. I don't want none of that negative energy on me in any degree. Now, all that being said, I'm gonna play some music, and I'm not gonna play any, sad music on any level like that. I'm gonna make sure I play some music that has a good vibe to it. There's some guys I'm working with now. The names are SOTOV, and I very much so enjoy some of their music. They're very dope artists. SOTOV Unlimited to be exact. Hope y'all check it out. Um, there's a song by one of the artists that works with them in their little label, and he is named Joe Allende. Now, this guy is very, very talented. I think he produces for himself. And I told him I play some of his music, not only because they're the fam, but because it's really good. So check it out. This is called Euphoria by Joe Allende. And I hope y'all really enjoy it. Turn up or turn around. We'll be right back.
I think that everybody secretly believes in their greatness.
When we go inwards is when we actually connect with
This is called Euphoria, and this song is called All That I Know.
shoulder. I'm gonna hold it down until it's over. It's all that I know. 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 If you ain't family, no entry. Overall that scam to go skin me. Go to that plan be more than me. Making a folk man the whole plenty. Stretching their hands to me. I'm stretching my hand to my father in heaven. Live with the line of a lion, the heart of a mother, grateful with the mouth of a peasant. I remember they was talking about reverend and saying that I got a call from above. I was just writing songs, chilling, drawing sands. Not thinking if life at the club. OJ did it for real. Too stripping, y'all forgetting the pill. Changes come and fill the greatness up, and it's the age of wonders, man, it's written and sealed. They told me get the bag. I'm asking paper or plastic. Consulting with Jacob the Madman. I'm patiently waiting for Advent. Acting up different prayers and hope. Where the smoke, the carrot, the joke, sit in the cabinet. I'm fresh, and yes, I got the special blessing from the garden, the trim in my fabric. Cut from a cloth that will never fade. Oh, too many years, my God, I'm forever paid. Debt free. I just want to change the world. Need God to let me do it for you. I do it for them. I do it for we. I do it to show you that God is real. And if you will, do it for me. Oh, walk it like I told it. Start it up and then I go, yeah. Going to the ceiling is the flow, yeah. It's all that I know. 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 See, I got too much on the line. I got the world up on my shoulder. I'm gonna hold it down until it's over. It's all that I know. It's all that I know. It's all that I know. All that I know. It's all that I know. It's all that I know. It's all that I know. All that I know. I've been moving around in silence. I'm pantomiming, making the way for guidance. Yeah. Trailblazing with my riders, with the understanding. Our kids is behind us, shipping in our guidance, entering deposits. Niggas get astonished, I'm honest with it. Yeah. 7 figures is an honest living. 8 is on and no golly, I gotta get it. And I go, blow, upgrade, show enough, save, go on stage, go upstage, go best rapper, roll up. Hey, aim for the top, throw 'em in the grave. Tell 'em come alive from a transfusion. We never lose, we get your groove, yeah. Get you a plate, getting you high off the lines that I feed you like cooking with shake. Yeah. Boiling crab legs, yeah. Cooking the steak, yeah. Green bags for my bigger hitters trying to push up their weight. I look them crook up in their face and give them the truth. I still on you in the booth. I still got 20s in the youth. Still on them there shoot. Still move towards a higher vibration while I'm chasing after look. I'm still gonna hold mine down even if I was new. I still walk it like I told it. Started up and then I go, yeah. Going to the ceiling is the flow, yeah. It's all that I know. 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 See, I got too much on the line. I got the world up on my shoulder. I'm gonna hold it down until it's over. It's all that I know. It's all that I know. It's all that I know. It's all that I know.
Test your strength, but find refuge without the feeling of failure.
Mad energy in this booth right now.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to continue this musical break. That song was just Joe Allende with All That I Know. And this next track is going to be my brother Can't Buy Dean. And he is a dope artist from the city of Chicago. I guess I should have said where, Joe Allende was from. I think he's from a city in Ohio. I'm not exactly sure about that. I'm just going to say that he's from Maslin because that's where his label's from. So shout out them and shout out his label for tuning in. I appreciate that so much. So much. So much. I think I was asked to play another song. We'll try to find another artist. I can't really find that song now. So I'm gonna go to another song here. Um there's actually an artist, you know what? I'm gonna play artist that we had on the show not too long ago. His name was Thrax. And for the last musical break before we get up out of here, I'll make sure to play a few more songs for y'all. Normally there's more music than this. Today I wanted to focus on the healing, so I'll recap during this little, mini break in between things. Um, I want to make sure that you know, people people really aware of the healing we need to do as a global civilization. Thank you so much for tuning in. If y'all enjoy everything y'all hearing, man, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like button. And tell people to tune in next time. We'll be back every Wednesday, no matter what. And I'm looking forward to it because I'm about to be getting deep into this stuff. Regardless of its social stuff, music stuff, we have musical artists on here tuning in all the time. So I'm really excited for everything that we have moving forward. There is a song by this boy Thrax. It's not crazy. It's not money. It's not forgiveness. It is called not peace. What is? Man, nobody's music is on here, man. This is crazy. You know what? I'm gonna play us some of my original stuff that has not been released yet. How about that? Since y'all tuning in for us, and I appreciate the numbers right now, so I'm gonna make sure there's some something that y'all can hear that y'all probably have not heard before. You know what? I'll probably play something that won't be released just to show y'all some love, man. I really appreciate it. This track is from an unreleased project, not to be named. And I think it speaks to a lot of what's going on right now. So here we go. Song's called High Hopes.
High hopes, he's got high hopes, but he's got in the house, get in the house, in the house, get in the house, in the house, get in the house, in the house, get most. Gotta reach from afar, aim and shoot for the stars. Know the least I can do is sit and land on the moon. Because I got high hopes, yeah. I got high hopes, yeah. I'm getting high hope, but still realistic. Eyes closed, still seeing visions. There's nothing wrong with believing, is it? When the scenery gets to seeming different. These stars shooting, you won't see me wish unless it's well to a nigga being victim. It's the team edition, you gon' see me dishing. When we ball, they gon' need assistance. I be dreaming bigger than the average Joe, if you had to know. If it's you switching, then I'd rather choke. Come from loyal folk, you a royal joke. All this fake shit'll hurt you. Gotta let the data show what matters most. Know that patience and virtue, but when it come to grabbing goals, they go half as slow. And I know this shit hard, but you gotta start. Cause a dream for sleep if it don't got a heart. You can see the weakness to release the demons. Find the peace don't mean that you're not as smart. So go for it, go for it. Tell them your story, no story. Make a whole quote for it. Don't test how you gon' score it. Reach for the glory, I got high hopes for it. Gotta reach from afar, aim and shoot for the stars. Know the least I can do is sit and land on the moon. Because I got high hopes, yeah. I got high hopes. This verse right here for the real ones. It's cut from the cloth for the gold and silver. You were not alone, you were in the millions. Can't move our foundation, can't break our ceiling. Building and building, but watch for villains. We are natives, they ops like pilgrims. Emotional warfare, at times I feel numb. Until I beat the beat like poker and feel drunk. And then disperse the verse, infused with higher self. I'm a boss that likes bosses, I will hire myself. Rolling forward deep, but I never tire myself. Meditate and see that all the self-quiet is kept. Respect what you don't know and admire what lives. Take a loss, shake it off like Mariah had did. Follow your passion, law of attraction, transpire the biz. Vibrate at high rate and inspire the kids. One. Gotta reach from afar, aim and shoot for the stars. Know the least I can do is sit and land on the moon. Because I got high hopes, yeah. I got high hopes.
Hello. I'm your host, Terry Tertiary. We got one more track we want to play for y'all. This is Dej Monet, my little sis from Chicago, with this track called Sometimes. Check it out.
Been a long time since I felt like this. You've been on my mind since that first kiss. Yeah. Trying to figure you out, and it ain't been easy. I've been feeling it down, it's got me thinking that you've been hiding. How you feel? What's the deal? Is you riding? Baby, tell me what's real, is it vibing? Catching all of these feelings. You're the one I need to be with. Oh, baby, do you feel the way I feel? I know you do, I think I know you will. But I can't see it, oh no. Don't know why I'm stuck on you, but I can't help it. Yeah. You got a thing for me, yeah, you know it. I can tell by the look in your eye. You wear your heart on your sleeve and it's showing. Don't let a girl like me get back. Sometimes gotta let go of your mind. I know how you feeling, no lie. What's about to live on your side? Sometimes I can't believe that you're mine. I ain't got this way in a long time. I'm down. I want you to myself. I don't wanna share you with nobody else. All I want is you and only you. If I give all of me, I don't want half of you. I can give you what you need if you just let me do it. Don't be scared of a good thing, baby. Oh, I just know you're right for me. I've been waiting. So tell me what I gotta do. I'm just right when you need me. You ain't gotta worry. I want you, I need you, but I ain't trying to mislead you. So tell me if you'll stay down for the meanwhile, then I'll please you. You got a thing for me, yeah, you know it. I can tell by the look in your eye. You wear your heart on your sleeve and it's showing. Don't let her go when I be get by. Sometimes gotta let go of your mind. I know how you feeling, no lie. Somebody real on your side. Sometimes I can't believe that you're mine. I ain't got this way in a long time.
So we now return. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to Wharton's Midwest. I really do appreciate all the love and all the support right now. Um, that was just Deja Monet with Sometimes. She's an artist out of Chicago. You can find that song, music videos on YouTube. You can find that song, I believe, on all social media or all streaming platforms, music streaming platforms. Support her. She's a really dope artist. She's on the come up right now. She's gonna break. There's no other way to say it. She's a really dope artist. All her songs have that level of quality and caliber and execution. So stay tuned and make sure y'all check her out. To continue the conversation, today we're discussing healing. I wanted to discuss healing because I am personally going through something. I know a lot of other Americans are personally going through things. I know that as a community, we need to learn to heal as well. I know as a nation, we need to learn to heal before we can even discuss helping out other countries or making other people around the world want to heal on that level as well. So, what I'll say is, I want to recap. Personally, healing, I think, is good to acknowledge your, your wrongdoings. Recently, I became single, and I'm accepting all the wrongs I did within the relationship, and I'm accepting, the growth that's coming from that as well. I'm accepting the beautiful moments, the bad moments, the things I did bad that I worked on while in the relationship, things I could have did better, and ways I can make that more impactful in my life. How I'm healing from that right now: meditation, yoga, prayer, self therapy. Whether that's massage therapy, group therapy, counseling, consultancy, any kind of, whatever you think is the best method for healing yourself. That's how I think we can heal on an individual level. On a community level, I discussed the R. Kelly incident. As African American community, I do believe we need to start beginning to hold people accountable. Period. Individually, as R. Kelly, he needs to be hung out to dry right now. Period. He needs to be made an example of, because we need to let everyone know that it's not acceptable for anyone to be predatory towards young girls or young boys, period, in our community. As African Americans, we need to take that stance. If we do not, it will persist and continue, and it'll be an accepted lifestyle within our community, because that's what's happening. And I don't think people are understanding that. Now, to jump away from that and to jump into the outlying community, Hollywood, entertainment, and many other politics, even religious, to be honest with you, there's way too many things going on, and people getting away with that kind of stuff. My own personal experience working in a law office, I saw most of the cases that came across my desk were pedophile cases involving priests. Now, these boys would be coming out later on and saying things, and then once again, they were African American. You know, the priests were not, but the boys were African American, and it affected them psychologically to the point where they wanted to escape from their families because their families were frequenting church. There's a big, Christian community in Chicago, as there are in many large cities in America, and many of those boys didn't want to be a part of that. So they just were like, I'm gonna go out to the streets. I'm about to, do this to get away from it. And that's some of the results that come from this because we allow these things to happen. Now, I'm not gonna say that we can't put all the pressure on young kids because they're not aware of what's, they may know when things are wrong, but they don't know how to say or how to voice those things. And we need to be paying attention enough in their lives to put a stop to that. Period. We need to stop supporting people like Jason Momoa. Yes, the guy who was Aquaman, because he does something similar. If you look up some of the videos from him, he's always hanging around younger girls, and it's not right because of where his hands are placed at and how uncomfortable those girls look and how they move him away from them. Like, you need to stop touching me because you're making me uncomfortable. Same thing with Drake. When people like him when you see him on stage with little girls, like we've just recently seen, we need to put a stop to that. Stop listening to his music, hurt his sales, hurt his image, and that's the only way they'll ever really learn. If we support them and we turn the other cheek and say it's okay, this stuff will persist in our communities and all of our industries. Same thing with priests. Communities at these churches need to go and stand outside. Oh, it's a Sunday. Oh, it's church Sunday. Yep, we're gonna show up. Ain't nobody going into church. Ain't nobody receiving the word today unless we're doing it at somebody's house. We're gonna have like little your body is your temple. You can have a relationship with God outside of that, because for the next few weeks to a month until we get a new preacher up in here, we're gonna ridicule this dude because too many kids have been coming up to us saying that something been happening to him, and we're not allowing it to continue no more until this person is put in jail and gets the help that he needs because we can't give it to him. Sorry. Now, I went from those levels to go up to a national level now. Trump, as he persists with this damn wall and how he's going to get the funding for it from Mexico, not changing his rhetoric on how he's about to make it happen, and now he's affecting all of our lives. Some of us cannot get, me specifically, cannot get my tax return because this dude will play around with our money until I get my wall, the government shut down. Hell no. Fuck is wrong with you? We need to start boycotting. Now, we've been boycotting him, but we need to do, I don't know what we need to do as a community. Anybody that's involved in politics, please feel free to put something in the comments so we can reiterate this and push this through to people, because I don't know what to do, but I know that something needs to be done, because we don't need to just sit here and allow people to go without government assistance when some people rightfully need it. There's so many channels that you have to go through in cities, in urban communities, that I know it's impossible to fake that you're like, oh, getting money. Some people are able to do that. I think those mostly rural people, to be honest with you, because some of those facilities aren't as as strict as some of these urban communities. I'll tell you from personal experience of trying to get unemployment while in Chicago, it is very, very difficult. You cannot just, oh yeah, I want unemployment, I got laid off. No, you need proof. You need an email. They got to contact the company to make sure that that's true. This takes like about at least 2 to 3 weeks for you to even get a response if it's okay, if it was accepted. So we need to do something similar in this situation. We need to make sure that this dude, if we ain't eating, we need to make sure that he is uncomfortable wherever he's at, resting his head. Even if he goes overseas to go speak with some world leader somewhere else, we need to make sure that the community over there, if he's in France talking to the press or whatever, I don't know what the leader is, the leader of France, and he's just kicking it, we need to make sure that there's hundreds of people outside like, no, Trump, you can't come inside. I don't care. You're not coming inside because there's people in America starving or hurting for money because you want to wait on some damn wall that's not even going to affect our security. Most of the drugs that come through here that he's building the claim of why he's making this wall up for come through legally. They come through legally. And I don't want to get into the theories of where they really come from, because I know some people may not want to hear it, but they actually come from not even just Mexico. Some of it comes from Mexico, some of it comes from the Middle East, and some of it is grown here. And it's not going to stop because you do that. What you need to do is hold these systems accountable, because they're not just walking through like, oh man, maybe they won't notice us in the back trunk. Oh, we got away with it. Cool. Nah, it's not how it works. How it works is there's probably people in those spaces that are turning a blind eye to this stuff. So you need to start holding those industries accountable and not put it on the American people. This is just like the tipping industry. And I say that because Business owners, you need to pay your workers more. You don't need to make us tip them to show if the service was good or not. Charge us more for the menu items so they get paid more, or make their pay increase. Period. If you're not getting enough, up the menu items $1 or $2. I guarantee that'll significantly change your cost. I mean, change your rate of income, and you can make sure that they get paid $1 or $2 more an hour, and then you can discuss having tips. Period. Or make those optional, not make them mandatory and make us get looked at bad because of it. Because most of the time, if you're of color, you don't get any tips personally. Now, if people tip as a whole, the whole what is that? The whole I forget what, like, if you're working, night, the whole shift, if the whole shift is getting tipped collectively, it's different. But most of the time, if you're an African American, we significantly get tipped lower. Period. No matter how good your service is. So that we need to hold this industry accountable in that same regard. You're not going to put this on the American people because your industries are fucked up. You're going to put it on the industry that's doing it. The National Guard, if they're the ones at the borders. I'm not sure, the border control, whatever their government affiliation is or military affiliation is. Put it on them, man. Don't put it on us, because some of these people are hurting. I need that money right now, man, and I can't get to it because you don't want to allow us to have tax returns and government and any government assistance. Bro, we gave you those taxes, bro. It's about to be the Boston Tea Party in here in about 1 week. I guarantee it. People gonna show up in droves to the White House line. You better guarantee that people don't start getting their money. You better guarantee that. So that's what I really want to say about that. If you got something to say, please drop something in the comments. If you like what I'm talking about and you like the Wardens of Midwest music, please feel free to subscribe and follow, all that stuff. Follow us on IG at this right here. I'll just put it in the comments. Sure, y'all do that. That's where you can find us at. And yeah, we're here every Wednesday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. And like I said, today was going to be a shorter show. Just to recap, discussing healing is the whole focal point of all of this. Healing as individuals, learning ourselves, loving, liking ourselves, learning more about ourselves from a spiritual level, prayer, meditation, yoga, group therapy, counseling, talking to each other and checking on people. I feel like that's important too. That's, even though it's not individual, but that's still, and then that bridges into the community aspect, holding people accountable for the stuff they're doing so we can heal as a community. Because in terms of African American and R. Kelly, we need to stop letting people be predatory like that. Period. Point blank, kaput. Don't need to be letting that stuff continue at all. At all. Stop listening to his music. Stop streaming it. If you want to talk about, this is what I think. I'm gonna talk about Jada Pinkett Smith, and she asked the question, "Do we not care about our black women?" I love black women. If it wasn't for black women, I wouldn't be here. Period. I'm more feminine in my approach because I learned from black women, and I'm more thorough in my approach because I learned from black women. I was raised by black women. My aunts, my mother, my older cousins. I was raised by all great black women. So trust and believe that I am for black women. And it's not right that his music stream spiked, but I think it's because people may be trying to identify in his music where some of this stuff may be taking place, and that's not for us to decide, and we shouldn't be doing it in that manner. Period. Don't help him when you're looking at some of this stuff. You know what I mean? What you should do is talk about it how I am. I ain't played one goddamn R. Kelly song, and I won't support it. Anybody play it at the cookout, I'm gonna say cut that shit off. Don't let our kids listen to that and think it's okay for us to be dancing around to this shit. They see R. Kelly at a goddamn concert or at one of their fucking schools, and they try to go, and he tries to run off with their ass. No. And if you see that, Kenwood, in your communities with these girls playing basketball, I didn't even watch the goddamn documentary. I heard about that from living in fucking Chicago. Stop letting that shit happen. Coaches, now the coach, I heard that the coach said something or whatever. I watched the documentary to confirm whatever that stuff. But coaches, teachers, faculty, parents that are involved in some of these schools and communities, don't let that stuff continue, because it shouldn't just be R. Kelly, period. Because it's not. Allow that stuff to happen. That shows other people it's okay to allow predators in our community. Now, moving into the other industries that allow this shit to happen, talking about Hollywood, in the music industry, this stuff persists too. There's a lot of people where this stuff happens and it just gets swept under a rug. For a long time, it was joked about. Oh yeah, you got to sell your soul to get a record contract. You gotta let somebody fuck you in the ass to get a record contract, and it still continues. And now it's coming out that it's true. You got artists coming out, forget the dude's name, talking about, oh, y'all let Birdman fuck me in the ass for this record deal. Like, are you kidding me? Now the dude was grown, But there were younger artists that worked with him too. We got artists like Lil Wayne kissing him on the mouth and shit. Now, he knew Lil Wayne when he was 14. That shit shouldn't be cool either. And I heard about other artists, people like Jermaine Dupri and other artists too. There's too many rumors going around. It's a norm in these communities. You got people like Jason Momoa, Aquaman, who is freaking hugged up with two little Samoan girls, and his hands are not in the right place near their chest area and rubbing around, and to the point where they are so uncomfortable, they jolt away from him and push his arm away and say, "Stop, I don't like that." And they look uncomfortable the whole time. We need to hold these industries accountable. Religious leaders, priests. I said from my own experience of being in Chicago, dozens of cases will come across my desk a week, sometimes more than 3 or 4 a day, where priests were being accused of molesting little black boys, and the little black boys would be turned into the streets as a result. And you could see from the pictures they have as evidence to say this is the black boy who said he was molested. Now his pants are hanging halfway down his legs, sagging. He got he's trying to get tattoos. He you can see that he's hanging around the wrong group, throwing up gang signs. It's not okay. When we allow that stuff to continue in our persist in our communities, that's what happens. We need to protest this. Don't go to church that Sunday, or do go to church, but show up outside the church with signs like "No pastor or priest, whatever the fuck, or father, whatever the fuck. No, we're not allowing anybody to go in here until you leave and go to prison. Turn yourself in, or we will all protest your church, and nobody's paying shit here. Period. Don't support this shit. Don't support these industries. You hear about that stuff going on, do your own research and investigate it and see what the hell is true. And stop supporting them. Period. Now, Trump, once again, to recap on that stuff's not okay. And we need to do something about that too. I'm not as politically savvy about that, so I can't really say what we can do initially, but I know that we can at least make his life a living fucking hell. Oh, you want money for this wall, bro? You think that you getting this wall is gonna stop the drug the drug influx, even though that stuff is coming literally through legal passageways, and we all know it is because people are either getting paid off. So hold those industries accountable for that shit. And that's all I got to say about that. I want to thank y'all so much for tuning in. I'm gonna do one more musical break, and then after this musical break, I will make sure that I give you guys a farewell. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. If you like anything you're hearing or the discussions you're hearing, please know this is like a one-time a month type thing. We do a show where we just focus on just the wardens. Brother Impact couldn't be here because he is in Chicago. I am in Ohio, but we will unite for some of these shows as well and do open discussions about these things. The first one we did was actually an origin story on Wardens Midwest. This one is more about healing. I'm in the space of healing myself, and I think that we need to heal as a community, African Americans, musicians, entertainers, politicians, religious groups. We all need to be in the space of healing and community aspect. And as a nation, we need to heal as well and hold these damn politicians accountable. I used to work for the Department of Labor. When the government shutdown happened last year for a few days, it hit all of our pockets. It's been almost 2 weeks now. We're at day, 13, 14 now. We need to hold some of these politicians accountable. We ain't making money. Don't let them make money, or don't let them get rest until they're like, all right, government shutdown over. I quit. I'm sorry. My bad. Make his life a living hell. Stand outside the White House line. I ain't there. I ain't got the means to get there. If I did, maybe I would be there. Stand outside the White House line and chant, "We want our refund," or "We want our assistance," or "We want what we're promised," or something all night. Period. Do it at all the government buildings, because there's senators that can say something too that ain't saying shit, taking money and being like, "Oh yeah, we're going to support this wall building, and we're just going to." No, none of that stuff gets supported anymore. Stop all of it. So I said all that to say, we're going to play a little bit more music. I'm going to play my brother Deem right now. This is a song called Backpack, and it's a really dope track. I think it'll be a good song to play right now, just because we're talking about drug trafficking. It's produced by me. And this dude is a really dope artist. He speaks from a lot of experience as well. His name is Can't Buy Deem. You can find him. You can find can'tbuydeem.com. Can't buy merchandise and all that stuff on there. So check it out. This is Backpack by Deem.
Bag has a very strong scent of marijuana coming out of it. It's got a lot of weight to it.
Weed in the backpack. Numbers in my old phone. Jump off the porch, I ain't no clone. Straight to the point like a headshot. J's on my feet, them bitches dead stock, them bitches dead stock. Oh yeah. Plus I got cash in the shoebox. Cash in the shoebox, cash on the shoes. Ash on the laptop, smudge on the new shoes. That's what the life do. I'm on the move. I'm on the bus now. Yeah. Met a little bus down. That was She tryna bust down. Oh. I'm tryna go home. Okay. They won't believe me. They ain't gon' believe me. They won't believe me. Damn what I do. Weed in the backpack, cash in the socks. Might have to ditch the backpack, but you gon' have to take a nigga ankle off before you get this guap. Nigga, it's a real trap. Can't sneeze in the rat trap. Only fat cat take cat nap. Only cartoon come back from the pap. Weed in the backpack, life in the knapsack. I'm on the move. 90-degree wet towel in the headband. I'm smoking headband. Oh, sand to the beach. Fuck it, let me try your strand too. Rolled up a spliff and the shit kicked like Van Damme. Hit it 2 times like goddamn. 90-degree wet towel in the headband. I'm smoking headband. Oh. Weed in the backpack. Weed in the backpack. Weed in the backpack. Life in the knapsack. I'm on the move. Weed in the backpack. Weed in the backpack. Weed in the backpack. Life in the knapsack. Weed in the backpack. I'm on the move. Weed in the backpack. Life in the knapsack. True. Weed in the backpack, numbers in my old phone, life in the knapsack, I'm on the move. Weed in the backpack, numbers in my old phone, life in the knapsack, I'm on the move. Weed in the backpack, numbers in my old phone, life in the knapsack, I'm on the move. Weed in the backpack, numbers in my old phone, life in the knapsack. True. I'm in the whip now. Oh yeah. Baby mama co-sign for the V. Thank you. Trees in the grinder, you look like you need a reminder, don't ash on the seat. Weed in the backpack, got the trunk jumping loud without bumping the beat. Ass so big, call her fat, and she hate that, but she love how I squeeze. Cash in the shoebox, cash in the shoes. Sold on the school bus, sold in the school. If you ever told her you already know, you ain't never had no holes in your shoes. If you ever told her you already know, niggas stepping on your throat with the shoes. If you ever told her you already know, you a motherfucking hoe, you a fool. Folded for who? I bet I folded the rules. Weed in the backpack next to a folder or two. I done caught me a boulder or two. Never trust a nigga saying he'll hold it for you. Came to the store with a little bit, wait till you see what I come back with. Made it come back like a backflip on the back alley mattress. Ooh. I am the first 3 letters of the word literally. SOTOV supremacy. I raise the bar, they wanna sentence me. Free and out a different entity. I keep them guessing like conspiracy theories. Soul in the mirror, reflecting my spirit. Higher power, feel it in my appearance. Life is wild when on your grizzly, you bear it. Hear it? I cause meltdowns on wax, cause I gotta keep it lit till it's backwards. Authenticated like if I got my password. Experimentation, I'm giving them lab work. Shout out to the homie scientific. We worth investing for the finest interest. I drop a flow, it stop, drop and roll. Ring the alarm cause we fire drilling. And that's on the code. We got 330 rocking, watching for these venomous foes. Trying to eat off this garden, you do it for a piece of the profit. I bring elite peace to the prophets. Got so many ways to eat off this logic. You can starve or feed off this knowledge. This food for thought on the come up, glowing, rising the sun up. Once I master Bruce Lee with nunchucks, you can spot out dope, we like a drug bust. So trust the Trinity, JMC, Joe Allende, Nicasso Turpin. Lesson learned, bow to your senseis, cause I've been on my grind, homie, catch me on the come up. I've been on the come up, you can catch me on that come up. It's 5:55, the universe got me one up. Numbers never lie, I put that shit on the 9, boy. I've been on my grind, catch me on the come up. I be on that come up, catch me on the come up. It's 5:55, the universe got me one up. Numbers never lie, I put that shit on the 9, boy. I got frenemies, they be trying to drain me for my energy. So I roll it dolo, be relying like a death ray. Everybody eating, bring a plate cause the chef's great. We whipping up blessings like heaven, open the buffet. Hey, don't give me something that don't weigh. I'm not a Libra, but balance magic in both trays. I'm on my grind, motivation's divine, boy. We like the moon, reflecting just how you shine. If you revolve around my tribe, then understand this is why. We are something special, encounter the fifth kind. A bunch of polished MCs, definition is spit shine. Catch us on the come up, anything else is lunchtime. I've been on my grind, homie, catch me on the come up. I've been on the come up, you can catch me on that come up. It's 5:55, the universe got me one up. Numbers never lie, I put that shit on the nine, boy. I've been on my grind, catch me on the come up. I be on that come up, catch me on the come up. It's 5:55, the universe got me one up. Numbers never lie, I put that shit on the nine, boy.
Play two more tracks for y'all and we're gonna get up out of here. This one is Mother Nature with the Off remix. They are two dope MCs from Chicago. Check them out. These ladies go crazy.
Get on my dick, get on my dick. Now you got pussy all over your lips. Better not push me, I'm close to the edge. Get on your knees, bitch, do what I said. I get some headiness off with his head. He is the mess, on to the next. I need a check, you need an X. Bring out the brew, I hex on this bitch. Sing hallelujah, I bring in the new year. I'm thankful to be here. I ain't never felt freer. Universe is my mirror. Universe is my mirror. See it all like a crystal ball. It's a gift from God. I be in and out, steady in and out till the dig is solved. Do it for love, bitch. Do it for blood. Do it for bros. Been through the mud, bitch. I see the sun, yeah. I've been the one, yeah. Waiting on me like an operation. Waiting on me like a lot of patience. Waiting on me like it's automated. Waiting on me like it's on the table. Yeah, niggas hungry trying to feed a meal. We already down to split the bill. Yeah. We move it around, call it wheel, fix the crown if it's ill, bitch. Yeah. How I know when you niggas be lying. So to the motherfucking white man. Half of my homies are working, they tooth. It's cool, it's all in the science. Back on the money, yeah. Money make problem go. Rappers on mama tone. I'm like a pot of gold. Give me my microphone. Everything is. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling rich. It don't exist. The speakers to life. You get what you give. Niggas be capping like, how did this happen? It's all in the magic. It's all about mastery mind. Higher self is divine. You can live when I die, bitch.
Like the greatest, can't fuck with your status. Whoa, more hoes on my line than what I stated. Baddies in the hot tub, serving me like potluck. Great beat of mantra, so throw your fucking ace up. You know what it is, see the fuck shit, but we never interfere. It seem a bit weird, but if it's just so clear. Polish purpose, piece to power, pick your poison, pay the prison, pinch your pennies like bitch, please. Got 1,000 to move like a centipede, I need sense to eat. Take a leap out the deep to see. Shit makes sense to me. Call me psychotic, need to get out of my body. I'ma need more than narcotic, we whipping the Audi. Kill everyone on the scene, bitch, we can live for the party, instead of we sorry. Hands all on my body, put that worm on your girl. Call me Scotty too hottie. What y'all know about freedom knows, what you need to know is on the need to know. We gotta learn some folks, know your life ain't no sideshow. Leave your whole damn mind blown, don't hit my line though, cause they give me close. Keep your mind out of that iPhone, for your last cry, you do a doubt tone, no. I don't wanna see that. Pet, where the weed at? Find amnesia, keep me speechless. I need legions of fellow suit. Click, we ain't bulletproof, so we come at you. If you broke our truth, so play cool, cause I play fool. Might grab that toy like it's shit brand new. Don't fuck with the ops. Get up my block, but it ain't mine, I know. Don't fuck with the ops. They on my block, damn, I miss on my bros. Switching the code up, we ain't playing tough. Ain't you had enough? Break it down just to build you up. What you know about love?
The great thinkers.
Yo, we back. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, man. I really do appreciate it. I just wanted to summarize everything and get up out of here. I really do appreciate everyone who tuned in today. This week has been a little bit of a difficult week. Like I said, just to recap, I recently ended my year-long relationship with a very wonderful lady, Nanika Slade, and you know, I'm not gonna say anything about her, and I don't think that's right for me to speak on her without her being here. But as far as myself, there were some things that happened, as far as anger was concerned, things I needed to manage a little bit better. So I chose to basically, um, after everything was said and done, do more with myself. Healing is what this whole show is about. So healing individually, I feel like what you can do is spiritually, you can pray, you can meditate, you can do yoga. Psychologically, you can get counseling, you can get therapy. That's both physical and mental. As far as massage therapy, I guess. personal preservation, um, and as a community, African American community, specifically discussing uh, pedophilic behavior with artists like R. Kelly. We need to stop supporting that. Uh, don't listen to his music. Don't go to his shows. Don't I don't know. Don't support anybody that supports him. It needs to be that. It needs to be that strict for us to really understand and rebuild as a community. Because right now, that lifestyle is accepted within our community. I don't know if people are really registering that. It is, and he's one of the first people to really get. Let's put it like it's in the public eye, and we were aware of it, and people kept turning their cheek, like, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna make myself seem holier than thou. I had my instances where I did it too, but it's time to put an end to that, man. We can't let artists like R. Kelly get away with what he's gotten away with for so long. Period. I was a child when he was first being ridiculed in the media for this. Why am I now an adult at the age I think he was probably closer to, and this is still going on? Stop supporting him. Stop supporting people that support him or have anything similar to his lifestyle. We need to put an end to it as a community, as an African American community, moving into a space of broader than that in the entertainment community as a whole, and as different industries, the spiritual groups and religious groups and politics and entertainment, Hollywood, all that stuff. Stop supporting them as well if they're involved in doing that. Do not support that stuff. Period. Hold them accountable. Plaster their faces everywhere. Put them all over social media like you do when you share those funny memes so people know we should not be supporting this. Period. We should not support that movie. We should not support this, this show or whatever involving people like the dude Aquaman from Jason Momoa. Uh, there's videos circulating around online of him with his arms around little girls. I don't know if I think they're like Samoan little girls or something like that, and he has his hands misplaced. Don't support him, ridicule him, plaster him all over the media, period, or plaster him all over social media. So we know not to support this, or so people unaware know not to support this, man, because some people aren't aware of it. Period. We plaster Harvey Weinstein, we plaster Kavanaugh, that's his name. We plaster Judge Kavanaugh, uh, plaster him, plaster entertainers, plaster politicians. Somehow we let one of these fucks into the office, and that shouldn't be cool either. But we got to do something about that. But it starts with us as a community. Religious leaders, priests are now being held accountable. Thank God that something's finally starting to happen. Because I worked in an office, like I said, and this stuff persisted for too long. And I think that people need to literally do more. If you're in the church and you're aware that you keep hearing this stuff circulate, talk to people in your church about it, have groups in your church meet about it. Once y'all all come to a conclusion, protest the damn church. We're not going to support this church until that preacher gets up out of this church, period. We don't mind coming to this facility, but we're not going to support it if he's the head of it, period. That's what needs to happen. That's the only thing that can happen for us to move forward properly. Um, and as a nation, we need to not allow politicians like Trump to get away with what he's getting away with now. He's now charging us for his wrongdoing, the same as the tipping industry. Like I made the analogy earlier, the tipping industry charges its customers to do tipping because they aren't paying their workers enough. That makes absolutely no sense. Increase your pay, increase the price of your items, because if people like coming to your restaurant, they'll still come if the menu items another $2 or $3. They were going to tip $5 anyway. Why not just guarantee they give you the money because the item went up $3 or $4 more? Doesn't that make more sense? Then, if they want to tip, they're more than welcome to tip, but it should feel optional, not mandatory. That's where the issue is. In this sense, you putting the pressure on us is not going to make us be accepted of the wall, because we're not the people who get to say so in that. But they think that if this gets he thinks if this gets unbalanced, we'll go and attack the politicians doing this. No, we need to attack him because he's the one shutting down the government. So if you are in Washington D.C., or if you're near any of Trump's houses when he happens to be there, you need to go protest at his damn houses all night, because some of y'all ain't working because of him. Some of y'all involved in government organizations or government funded programs aren't working right now because of him, not being paid because of him. So what you need to do is go to his office, go to the White House lawn and stand there all night and protest. Period. Yell at the top of your lungs until they get sore, until he's like, all right, I'm done with this. And he tries to go somewhere else, and we get him out of there. We need to get people overseas to keep him from doing that too. That's the only way this will stop. That's the only way, because otherwise he's going to keep this thing going for as long as he can, and I don't think anybody's going to stop it. That's involved in politics. I'm just going to be honest. I don't think anybody's going to stop it until he gets what he wants, or until I don't know what happens. Hopefully something good, because it might be going bad, because people that rely on government assistance aren't getting it right now. And people that have worked hard for a whole year, given taxes and been taxed 2 or 3 times on the same damn thing, and just want their little bit of money back from what they were taxed on, can't get it. And it's not acceptable. But hey, man, that's my time, y'all. I want to thank y'all so much for tuning in. It was wonderful. Let's heal. Much love. Warden's Midwest. Turn up or turn around.